Hmm. Okay. All the listeners, welcome to another episode of Growth Journeys. And for today, we have none other than but the founder of Postly. We have Paul with us. Paul, what's up? Good noon. How are you doing?
Yeah, good day. I'm good, and you? How you
I-
doing?
I'm doing super amazing, to be honest, because I'm going to have a
Yeah,
conversation with you. So I'm just enjoying that
yeah.
part. Okay.
I'm happy. I'm happy to be here, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about Postly.
Like it's always a pleasure to talk about the products which you have created. So, I'm not even kidding. As a person, if I will create something, till a good extent, I'm like a father of that product. Like
Yes.
it's always fun to talk about your own son. So yes,
Yeah,
that's
sure,
nice.
sure,
Okay,
definitely.
so Paul, like here's the thing: growth journey it majorly focuses on the journey of the person and the product, and I would like to start with that only. So, for first, I would like to know from your side, like who is Paul? What's your background? How was your childhood? What did you study? And how exactly you got into all these things? How have been your early stage of professional life and career? Yeah, I would like to start from there.
Okay, so I hope we have time because we all have stories. Yeah. So my background was very humble. Yeah. From Nigeria, a village called Nsukka. It's a university town, and that was kind of a saving grace to so many people, not just me. You know how university towns encourage schools, encourage education. So even if your parents are not wealthy, they see others, and there's a kind of competition to go to school. So it's pride for them, and at the end of the day, it helps everyone. So I studied electronic engineering. I did well in school, humbly saying that. And I picked up programming. Then it was Java from school. And I kind of liked it. And it actually helped me in my first job and in my second job. Yeah. So first job, second job took about, give or take, 5 years. And then I went into a different direction entirely, which is marketing. And I mean, that was like another saving grace because combining 15 years of management level marketing and strategy, product marketing, the whole 9 years. So I was in charge of access data in a telecoms company, which is a big deal. I was in charge of digital products as well, so which is a big deal, especially in the time when Facebook, Twitter, and social media platforms were just coming up. So bringing that to Africa, to Nigeria, was my job, and it kind of really inspired me. If these guys can do this, apart from my day job, I started getting inspiration down the line. And I actually started thinking about Postly as far back as 2015. And, Nigeria is a third world country. We lack so many things. Yeah. I remember when I did apps on Google Play, they couldn't even remit money to me. So I was looking for a way out because Nigeria was not listed as at then. So I was looking for banks and co that could help me to be like an intermediary. So those are the kind of issues we suffer here. So when I thought about Postly, I actually tried it like 4 times before now. Yeah. Uh, I got a team of engineers. Down the line, we had issues, competency issues, time, everything. How it is down here. So there's a problem of competence, especially back in the day. Now it's a lot better. There's a problem with time. Yeah. So there's also a problem with resources as well. But I didn't let that stop me. So I was always planning. I was doing a few other things as well on the side, and my plan was always to leave my day job and become an entrepreneur. So I was always an entrepreneur in my mind. I was like a 9 to 5 worker who is actually supposed to be an entrepreneur. So that was it. It was that kind of struggle all through. So January this year, I restarted Postly. I was fortunate to meet a guy. His name is Clement. He's a genius, and he's my brother's friend. And together, he was willing to work on the platform. Yeah, we started actually doing something else on logistics, and it failed twice before we say, you know what, enough is enough. Let's just do this Postly thing. And the primary challenge was, and that's a challenge for most founders, when you want to, when you're looking at an industry from afar, it looks very attractive. Yeah. So if you look at social media space, social media management tools, it looks very attractive. Yeah. But once you step in, you find out that there are hundreds of similar products. You know, I think it happens across different industries. And then, so the major problem, how do you differentiate? Are you going to do it? Are you going to just, chicken out, or what's going to be your option? If you keep running, maybe you won't be able to do anything because every space is more or less saturated. So what I did was apply my marketing experience and see how do I squeeze myself in and how do I make myself different. So I took a lot of time to study all of them. Yeah, I don't want to mention the names, Hootsuite, Buffer, and the rest. Yeah, I studied all of them, and I kind of noticed a few points, a few gaps, which for me, the primary thing is for you to niche as quickly as possible. And I noticed that there's a trend. For instance, if you take, for instance, Buffer, once a startup, is launched, they appeal to everybody, the mass market, the startups, the people who don't have large pockets and all that. Yeah, so I appeal to everybody. The pricing is good, the features are very affordable and all that. But as they grow larger, they kind of everything grows. Their price grows, their features grows. So they don't appeal to those startups anymore. So there's always a segment that is left behind. Yeah, so it's like a stepping stone for the startup. As they grow, they leave that segment behind. They increase their prices. They blow up their features and all that. And I think that's what I noticed with Hootsuite. Hootsuite right now appeals more to enterprises. Yeah, in terms of what they offer and what they charge and all that. So I noticed that early, and I was like, okay, I'm going to serve these people that are left behind. And truly, when I started, I had a lot of the very first set of 1,000 users, because I managed the customer care, the customer service points that we use. I did that on purpose so I can learn, so I can get feedback and all that. Yeah, so I noticed that for the first 500 plus users that came, they were all migrating from Hootsuite. So I was hearing stuff like, oh no, I'm tired of paying Hootsuite monthly for this. I just want, stuff like that. So there's a lot of people in that segment. The people, the platforms they started with have grown bigger than them, and they need a new platform, to engage them. Yeah, so that's how I started. And it actually gave me an idea that, okay, you can actually be the opposite of what all those big ones are doing right now. You can offer very good service, very good user interface, very friendly service at a very affordable rate, yeah, that will appeal to these guys. So now that's where the whole idea of, okay, offering publishing at scale. Yeah, so I had a lot of people that, came with hundreds of pages of Facebook and groups and all that. So they needed to publish at scale and all that. So those were the stuff that informed how Postly came about and how we positioned Postly eventually.
I'm not even kidding. Okay, so like I heard this whole story. And till a good extent, I was able to see all these things in my vision. Like in my mind, I was like running this whole story. Okay, there this person who went to school, who did electronical engineering, did one job, second job, 9 to 5, and in his mind, he's already an entrepreneur. Then he met his brother's friend, who was a genius. Both started to work on a product, failed 2 times, but they're like, okay, we are going to do it once again faced a lot of them, and then they're like, no worries, we will again do something. And finally, after all this hard work of like probably 7+ years, I would say, because I think that you are thinking about the idea since 2015, if I'm not wrong. So, like this
Sure.
whole hard work just paid off. So, like to a good
Yes.
extent, I just watched a whole movie, I'd say. But, Paul, I would like to go a little bit more into the details of the past. So, okay, so as you said, like in childhood, you used to study and you did electronical engineering. Why did you
Electronic.
select electronical on the first day? Like any specific reason, or like were you interested in it or something like that?
Okay. Yeah, you're actually taking me back in time. Yeah, so
Mm,
um, the village setting, like I explained earlier. Yeah, so we were influenced by people. Yeah, so there was this university center that I used to visit. Where you have university students, they live and others. I made a lot of friends, and like you have role models that you look up to and all that. So I wanted to study medicine and surgery like every other person. I mean, then if you're in science, you study medicine and surgery. If you don't get medicine and surgery, you study pharmacy. Then, like that, like, I mean, that's just a trend. If you're in the arts, you study law. Yeah, if you don't get law, you study political science. That was just a trend then back in the day. So, but I realized, like I said, I was a good student. Yeah, I was doing well. So I had a lot of friends at the center, and I was also very curious. Like most people. So I was designing, and I was reading all the books and designing amps and stuff, all this electronic stuff and all that. So one day, one of the guys, his name is Tunji. Yeah, so he just said, Paul, why do you want to go and study medicine? You probably spent 8 years reading, and you won't be able to fulfill your curiosity. So I see you as a very curious guy. It might be very boring for you to do that. I don't know. I mean, might have been biased, but that was just it. So I just slept and I thought about it. That was it. So when I was applying, I just applied for electronic engineering, and that was it. you know,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. But life then, it was just a quiet village kind of life. So there were no incidents. So the only thing that I could remember clearly that made a difference was when I discovered computers and when I discovered Java programming. So that was like, the only excitement that I had then back in the day. So it was just a normal life and nothing special about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, like any specific sport which you used to play, like football or hockey or some other sport which you used to play every single day with
Oh,
friends?
yeah. So I played football a lot. Yeah, played football a lot. And I kind of played well. So I was one of those guys that were like, oh, in my mind, I was supposed to be a footballer as well. But of course, I still play, so it's always been my passion. It's kind of the only sport I do. Yeah, I did it very well. So apart from football and coding, I mean, that was just what we're doing then. Yeah, so
I'm not
that
even
was it.
kidding. Every single person who had played football, in their mind, they're like, okay, I want to be a footballer. That is something
Yes,
which
yes,
I'm
yes,
going to do
yes.
for my life.
Yes, of course. In fact, when you watch football matches, you'll be comparing yourself. "Oh, I can do better than this guy. I can at least I can do better than I could have done better than Harry Maguire. So I mean that it's just but I think for me, life is about time and chance. So whatever opportunity is presented to you, you just have to make the best use of that. So for me, I was presented with the opportunity to school, have a good result from the school, and follow that line, build a career and grow as much as possible. I didn't have any other opportunity besides that, so just had to make use of that. So
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
By the way, as
Yeah.
you said, like in your college or university life, there are only two things which you have done is like first playing football and second coding. Like
Yes.
any specific funny or rememberable memory which you have around football or coding from your college days? Anything specific?
Well, so I was introverted. Well, I don't even know how I am, but
Hmm?
yeah. So when I make friends, I become very open. Yeah, but before then, I'm kind of close and to myself. So I wasn't into parties, and I wasn't all over town, kind of. So I was kind of like a bit bookish and uh, coding football. But in the university center that I was attending, we had a bit of fun. So they were like going for excursions around the country, going to different parts of the country. And I enjoyed that a lot. I remember that a lot. So it was fun, going out, having camps, 2 weeks camps, and going out at night by midnight to go and swim in the river, in the bush. It's scary fun. Yeah, yeah. So it was good, really. There a lot of things happened, but for me, it was just about football and coding. Those were the highlights. Yeah, those were the highlights.
I'm not even kidding, So there
Yeah.
was this one time when like it was a night time, we were on a trip and there was a lake. So, like I just got a thought, what if what if I would go for a swim in this midnight in this cold lake? So I woke up, I went outside. I kept my one foot in the lake and I just ran back because it was so cold. I just got those chills
Yes.
and all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's usually very cold at night, and it was actually fun when I think about it. Going out middle of the night in the thick forest to swim. Right now I'm thinking about all the risks and everything, but then it was fun. We didn't care. It was good. It was scary, but it was good.
Hmm. Like you enjoyed
It
your
was good.
time. What else is there to talk about?
Yeah,
Uh,
I did. I did. It was good. Childhood was good. Childhood was, remote towns are like that. There are no incidents. Everywhere is quiet. Everybody knows everybody. It's not like a big town or anything. So it's an easy life, kind of, basically.
hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And after
Yeah.
that, you went for your job number one and job number two, like two jobs in 5 years, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
How
Yeah.
was your experience in those job, or like what exact work did you had in those job profiles?
Okay. So for the first one, I was a software developer. I was a junior software developer, kind of. Yeah, so it was still did much then. Yeah, so we're building college portals and e-commerce sites and stuff like that. And for me, it was still feeling like school because we had the same kind of people from the school, like my friends from school. We came together with three of us. We met other guys from school, a set ahead of us and all that. So it was still the same kind of feeling as if we were still in school because 50%, more than 50% of the staff were people I know from the same school and stuff like that. So it was good. And but for me, it was still a learning phase because I wasn't that good yet. So we were assigned projects, but we had supervisors that guided us, and so it was still kind of learning. And I didn't spend much time there, so I spent more like two, just barely 2 years, which is not enough for you to learn or make any serious impact. Yeah, and it was my first job. Then I moved on to the second job, which was a telecoms company, but on the IT department, to create to develop solutions. Yeah. So it was then that I started, understanding what I was doing. Yeah. And I started to make some impact. Then I was also thrown into project management. I didn't like that, but that was my saving grace, really, because when the opportunity to move over to marketing came, the only card I played was the project management card, and I mean it worked for me. Yeah, so that was my saving line, you know. So I had experience deploying serious projects in that job, apart from the coding experience and all that. So when I talked about my coding experience, I could build products, I understand products. Then I also talked about project management. I could manage projects and stuff. I mean, I think that was what scored me right, and I got a job. And then I spent over 14 years at that job at the management level, which was good because the management meetings were like MBA classes, you know, they were like serious MBA classes, you know, where you study strategy, your own strategy, competition strategy, and all. It's like they call it war rooms, you know, so you discuss real life marketing wars and stuff. And I really enjoyed it. And for me, like I said, I already had this bias for entrepreneurship. So I didn't see myself, I was seeing myself as a misfit. Yeah. And that kind of helped me. Yeah. Because like I tell people, if the only motivation, the best motivation is when you do stuff for yourself. You know, so like I'm going to this work for myself. I'm going to this meeting for myself. So when I go to the meeting, I pay attention for myself. I understand this in better to myself. I go out, I research about it more to myself. So it was helping me to do my job faster and better. You know, people notice that, oh, this guy is just different. Talk about digital and he understands it, even though we don't have the opportunity to learn, you know, because telco and, you know, 9 to 5 is like straight jacketed, restricted. So people don't tend to know anything beyond their small space. You know, like they don't have a view, they don't have like a bird's eye view to things. You know, it's very difficult. So it's just like narrow view and all that. But I was different because I was doing it for myself. So I, you know, took my time to study stuff and understood stuff. And I was, from that time, planning on what I was going to do. Yeah. So if I was in a meeting, I'll be paying serious attention and I'll be calculating if this could be done outside of this place, you know, stuff like that. Yeah. So it made me a better 9 to 5er, and at the end of the day, I got a lot of experience and you know, to help me try the different things I tried on the side. For me, I would advise anybody, it's good to pass through the 9 to 5, you know, the corporate space, because you learn a whole lot. I mean, the experience is immense. Yeah, you learn how to deal with people, learn how to manage teams, learn how to manage clients, you learn how to manage customers, and it's always better to practice on somebody else's platform. That's always better, because coming out is very scary. It's very very involving, because there are so many things you have to take care of by yourself, you know, and there will be nobody there to help you or guide you or advise you. Because I realized also towards the end of my stay in that job, you know, I tried to have my discussion, everything about me kind of changed. People tend to say I'm always very serious, because if I talk about football for 5 minutes, then I'll start talking about entrepreneurship or digital products, or, you know, start asking hard questions. And I realized that, so one day, one of my friends told me that, Paul, you need to stop asking people these questions, because you actually know more than them. They don't know, you're embarrassing them. You know, so, you know, so that's how most of the corporate jobs are. They don't know beyond what they are assigned to do. And for me, my advice is, if you're ever thinking of becoming a startup founder, you need to pay serious attention to your corporate job, if you're doing any corporate job, because you learn a whole lot. I mean, there's the benefits is just too much. You know, the difference is clear. It gives you that confidence when you come out to be able to stand on your own quickly. Yeah. So you learn a lot about strategy, about personal management, and all sorts of stuff. And then it also gives you the end-to-end view. The challenge I have with even my friends, my team, my brother who's a developer and all that, and we had a lot of arguments in the early days, is I believe they don't see these things end to end. Yeah. So they cannot visualize what they are doing end to end. I mean, writing a code and the code working is just like 10% of the work. Yeah. It's a lot of work, but it's just like 10% of the work. To build a product and sell a product is a whole lot. Yeah. And you cannot come out on your own and stand on your own if you don't visualize it end to end. Yeah, because you'll be having serious challenges. The first challenge is yourself. You'll be having a lot of self-doubts. Yeah, so because I wake up midnight almost all the time and I'm asking myself, well, what are you doing? Are you sure of this? So you ask yourself questions all the time. So you need to convince yourself of what you're doing before you can convince your team, before you can convince the customer, before you can. So that self-conviction then comes from ability for you to see these things end to end. So that's just it. That's just it.
Okay, so like I heard the whole part. Like correct me if I goes anywhere wrong. First job as a software developer, second in telecom, third you had the experience of project manager, and you were like, okay, I'm getting an opportunity to move to marketing. Let's just go there. So you just jumped into the marketing, and at that point in your mind, you are like, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to create my own product. So I won't be here for too long. But if I have been selected for a profile, if there's some work, I'm going to do it with my best. So at that in marketing role, you worked a lot, but people were like, come on, why are you being so serious? Why are you asking all these questions out of a job profile, huh? Paul, come on, just talk about some common things of football.
Exactly.
Hmm. Okay. So like, first of all, how many years did you did the marketing job? Like how many years it was?
It was 14 years.
For 10
It
years.
was 14, yes.
14. Oh, okay. So 14 years you did that marketing role. And
Yes.
around 2015, you got this idea that, okay, I can start my own company with Postly. Like something like that. Or like, how did you got the idea of Postly? Like, I'm curious to know that part.
So okay, well, so I think I've tried like over 20 ideas. Yeah. So my journey actually started in 2012, kind of. Yeah, that's when I started the serious stuff, like, okay, I'm going to be doing stuff on myself, which everybody does. Yeah. So I started off with mobile apps, developing mobile apps. Yeah. So I had a partner, an Indian partner, Mayank, yeah, very nice friend. And we built games and apps and stuff, Google Play, um, Apple Store. Yeah. And that's where I had that issue of monetization that I talked about. But I eventually got a bank, a Nigerian bank that had a branch in UK, GT Bank, and I used them. So it helped me to open a UK account, which I then, channeled, used for my remittance and all that. So that was what helped me. So I did that. It was successful. Yeah, it was successful. I think I made about 30K net. Yeah, 30K dollars net in 2012. That was some money. So I bought a small house. I bought a small house, and I think that was the beginning of my problem because at my level at work, I wasn't supposed to do that. So it was like you're doing better than your boss, that kind of a thing. So from then on, I was like, this entrepreneurship thing works, and I'm not going to leave it alone. Yeah. So I tried the game stuff till 2015. I was running different stuff to 2015 on the games and app stuff. Then the return on investment wasn't so good anymore, and I didn't have funding to go to the next level. Like then I was paying like 14K to create a game. Yeah, but yeah, because it costs a lot. All those Unity assets, you need to buy the assets and all that, and the licenses, it costs a lot. Yeah, so the next level would have, required me to invest like $40,000 per game, stuff like that. But I didn't have that because I was actually self-funding that. So from salaries and bonuses, and it was crazy. It was a risk because typically when they pay bonus at the end of the year and everybody's like, oh, they paid bonus. Sometimes I don't even tell my family, I don't tell my wife because I'm going to spend the money to do my things. So it was a risk, but it paid off. It paid off. Then, so after 2015, then I now started thinking about digital platforms. Yeah. So I actually tried Postly as a mobile app back in 2015. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was on Google Play and the App Store, and it lasted just a few months. Yeah. One, the technology wasn't so good. Yeah, so there was always and it wasn't my team. Outsourcing development is not good. Yeah, because you don't have control. You need to have your own team if you're a startup founder. And it's an advice I will give anybody out there. Yeah, as much as possible, as quickly as possible, you need to have your own team. Yeah, because a lot happens. Yeah, a lot of changes, a lot of monitoring, it's a lot of work. Yeah, and it's a continuous work. You don't just build it and keep it out there and expect it to just be okay. Yeah, so that affected it. So there were I could just check the store and the app, was broken for days, and I didn't even know stuff like that. Yeah, so I had a lot of bad reviews, so I had to pull it down. Yeah, but then my mind was on it. Yeah, so I didn't let it go. Yeah, I tried to imitate what Twitter for. There's a platform called Twitter for, where you sign in and you see trends and all that. Just like streaming of trends and all that. So that inspired me as well. I tried to do it, but then I didn't have the resources. Then I just had to have patience. But I kept on. So what I do is I write a lot. I document a lot. So I kept on documenting and fine tuning the idea. So I had like my concept document from 2015 till now, the same concept document. Yeah. So I started studying the big players and the small players. So I studied Hootsuite, Buffer, Planable, Hypefury, all of them. Then I was also on Indie Hackers. So I followed such conversations. So I heard their issues, like when they started doing Twitter threads, they were celebrating. I said, okay, good, Twitter threads. I noted it down, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, when I put everybody on the table, I knew that I wasn't going to succeed if I do the same thing they were doing. Yeah. So I just needed to be different. Yeah. So I had to wear my marketing cap and say, what, how do I differentiate from these guys? It's a saturated market. I don't care. I like the product. It's within my comfort zone. That's also another advice I'll give young founders. So it's better for you to do stuff that is within your comfort zone, because those are the stuff you understand very well. You understand? As in, anybody can argue with you for days, but you're so convinced about that stuff because you know it so well. You know the potential, you know the need, yeah, you know the pain point, because I sold products for 14 years. Yeah, so I'm a product manager, right? I sold products for 14 years. I know the issues, I know the problems, I know what the marketers, the agencies, and all that, I know what they suffer on a daily basis and all that. So that is a very good advice. I would advise anybody, whatever you want to do, just don't be over adventurous. Just start from your comfort zone, yeah, and do it very well, yeah. So then fast forward to this year when I've had enough of 9 to 5. I just said, you know what, you just have to cross this line. and I did. Then the initial set of the first 2 weeks was horrible. It was horrible. So I listed on a marketplace and I was roasted on daily basis. I was roasted. It was a nightmare. Yeah. So yeah. So the lesson there is the users were more mature than me. Yeah. In that particular product. Yeah. These are guys that run agencies. These are guys that, and their taste as well. These are guys that were moving from Hootsuite. So, I mean, you understand the product, you know what they want, and they want specific features. So you've done all this, I don't care. Do you have this? When is it going to be live? Why is this not like this? Why is it? So, I mean, it was difficult. It wasn't, so nobody appreciated your work. Yeah, so it was all sorts of bad feeling. Yeah, because you're serving people that were coming from a higher pedestal. It's difficult. Yeah. So, but then my self-conviction, the experience I have, what helped me to pull through. Because in terms of experience, yeah, I have the same, equivalent years of experience as the best of the users. I can say that because I engage them, I have calls with them, I do video calls with them. So when we talk, they were like, "Oh, good, you have this, oh, good, good." So that actually really helped, the profile of the founder also helps to sell the product, like to convince the customer to have patience, everything will be fine. This guy knows what he's doing. He understands the space and all that. So it helps a lot. It's like the very first CV your product will wear is your own particular CV, yeah, because that's what the customer will see at the end of the day. Yeah, so manning the customer service points, yeah, we use the HubSpot and it was very good. It was very good. So I took upon myself to be the one in charge of that space. I could have hired anybody to be there, but it was so critical for me to be there. Yeah, I got tons of feedback, good feedback. I had people that spent 2 days, 3 days non-stop chatting with me, giving me feedback. I had people that designed the product for me and sent the document to me. They were like, "You have to do it this way. You have to do it this way." I have people that came with all the information from the experience I had from competition. I said, "Paul, I was using this XYZ and I just want you to do this for me. If you put these features, I'll come on board." I had all sorts. I mean, the knowledge is just so much, So for me, every founder should make sure. I mean, I think that's what they call building in public. It's a fancy name, but it's actually a practical phenomenon. As in, you cannot build a product in isolation. Yeah. So for me, it's a risk, but as quickly as possible, yeah, throw your product into the market and let the users experience it and give you feedback. It's a risk. Yeah. While you're doing that, make sure you have a team ready to be implementing the feedback. So what happens is that whenever they complain, it doesn't take us up to 5 hours to make that change. I'll be like, "Wow, these people are fast. At least people you respond. Other people don't respond. You are fast. To make so it was actually turning in our favor. Yeah, that they saw it as very friendly, very approachable, very nice, and very competent as we're turning out the upgrades as they were making those requests. So I would advise any founder to as quickly as possible expose your product to your customers, let them experience it, let them give you feedback, be very approachable, be the one to manage the touch points, engage them, and implement. I'm not saying implement 100%, but most of the time, you're going to implement like 99%. They're always right. Those guys are right. Yeah. So that's how that journey went. So.
Oh my God. Okay, so like I have 3 to 4 points to say. First of all, you are not the first person who had spent money without telling their wife. So yeah. And second thing, like I think that you might have heard this thing also, like a single person can't build an empire. There's a need of other people. Just like that, in Postly, like all the people who were helping you were designing, were giving feedback, talking to you in chat for like 2 to 3 days continuously. Those people were the
Yes.
collaborators who collaborated with Postly till
I'm,
some
I'm,
extent.
yeah, sure. I really appreciate this when I use this opportunity to say thank you to all of them. And I mean, it was also a culture shock for me. Yeah, I mean, I love Nigeria, I love Africa, but that's not common here. So so it was a culture shock for me that somebody will come and sit with you for 2 days, and there's no benefit to him. He's not asking for money. He's not like, what is in it for me? They're like, if anybody does that here, you better get pen and paper and sign the person as a director. It's super nice, and it was my first time experiencing that, and I really appreciate that. I still marvel at that. So they spend their time and all that, and I mean, if typically a typical customer will be like, oh, if I'll just move to competition and all that. I mean, why do I have to waste my time explaining these things to you? And some of them self, I even argue with them, but when I realized what they were trying to do, they had good intentions. I was like, you better listen. This is how to succeed. So because it was a culture shock to me, really. It was super nice. I wasn't expecting it. And I really appreciate. There are so many of them, I can't remember names, but I really appreciate all of them. Yeah. They made Postly what it is. They like shaped the market fit. Those terms, fancy terms, but you need to practicalize those terms to really understand what they mean. So when they talk about market fit, product market fit, this and that, market validation, this is what it is. Yeah. So you push it to the customer, let them accept it. For me, I think market acceptance is the most important thing. When somebody will come and say, I have seen Postly and it's better than XYZ. I am dumping XYZ because I'm coming to Postly. I've seen that a lot. I've heard that a lot. So many times, and I'm like, oh, you're making an impact. So that's for me, it's market acceptance, market validation. That's what it is.
I'm telling you, I would agree with that part. Because when you talk about a product which a market is going to use, let market decide, do they even want to use it or not?
Yes, yes,
I mean,
yes.
why to
Because
force something?
because when you're as a builder, when you're creating stuff, they all look so fancy in your head. They all make sense in your head. I mean, nothing can be better in your head, but when you test it out there, you find the loopholes. So you need to be very humble enough and smart enough to adapt quickly, as quickly as possible.
That makes
So feedback is very important, very important, very
okay.
important, and as early as possible. Yeah,
For sure, I would agree on that
yeah,
part. But okay, now after all this feedback and help and collaboration, now Postly is ready. When did you reach the PitchGround or like the marketplaces? Like, what's the time frame or how does timeline looks like when you started on marketplaces?
Okay, so the final third product happened end of July. So we're all tired, disillusioned. Then I called the fellow, Clement. I said, you know what? We have to start August 1st. Yeah. So it was like, oh my God, you're asking me to build a social networking platform. I can't do it. So we dragged that for like a week, and we started second week of August or so. By November 1st, it was ready for the first marketplace. Yeah. So I think I uploaded it on the 22nd eventually. It got approved on the 22nd thereabout. Yeah. And it was MVP, as in it was just basic. Yeah. And I didn't care. I was very eager to see what the people are saying. It was looking nice. Yeah. But it was very basic. So that means from August to November, yeah, was the critical development period. So the guy was pretty fast. Yeah, the team was pretty fast. Yeah, he was working with my brother, who's also a developer, Emeka. Yeah, so they were pretty fast, and we spent November and December and January battling the feedback, the bugs, the issues. Yeah, so I think we lost like half of the revenue. Like people come, the churn was like over 50%, was very high, was very high. Then it started coming down. Yeah, 30 something percent, 20 something percent. Now it's below 20%, yeah, on that platform, which is good. Yeah, which is good. So PitchGround, we started March 1st. Yeah, and it's also good. It's also good. The feedback is awesome. So when we started having like reviews, yeah, we're lucky because the product was already good. So we're having like 5-star reviews, very nice reviews. Even on the first platform, marketplace, yeah, so 5-star reviews and stuff, so it was good, on Capterra.com, 5-star review, G2.com, 5-star reviews. Because when we started asking for reviews, it was already mature. Yeah, it was already mature. So I would say it was quick development. Yeah, most likely because the concept was ready. Yeah, end to end, we know what we want. Yeah, end to end, as in all the features were there. So it was just a question of time and who can help us build faster. Yeah, so it wasn't like we spent time discussing how should it be. I already had the concept document since 2015, so I already know what I wanted. In fact, I was explaining in detail. I was actually doing the design. They used to tell me that my design sucks. Yeah, so I was designing the flow and the wireframes and all that. They're like, well, you're not a designer. You're not a designer. You don't do that. But for me, I think I provided the basic flow structure end to end, down to the last feature and all that. And that's really helped because we didn't have to spend time doing guesswork. There was no guesswork. Yeah. So it was a question of, okay, let's start from this one. We'll do it. We'll see what the customer says. Yeah. So the customer was now telling us based on their own experience and based on what they got from the other platforms. So that was it. Yeah. So I think that's why it was so fast. Yeah, because the concept and design, everything was ready. Yeah. So out there, if you want to build any product, you need to make sure that you understand it end to end. The concept is ready end to end in your head, and you can just quickly implement.
No, that completely makes sense. Like if there's a product which is like 95% ready, it is meant to be sold, and the other 5% is something which will always be there till the end of the lifetime. There would be some or other problems which we have to solve. So I would agree on that. But like, I'm just curious to know how was your experience with PitchGround? Like because before launching the product, like there are other things which happens on the back end, right? Like how was your experience with that?
The PitchGround came when Postly was good. So the experience, that was really nothing. Yeah, it was already mature. Yeah, we didn't suffer any major issues. So the queries were like, okay, normal customer queries. Yeah, I cannot log in. How do I do that? A lot of how. Yeah, that reminds me. So I think websites and products landing pages are not useful anymore. Maybe we need to have a new concept, because my experience is that customers don't read landing pages. Yeah, so they come and they ask you dumb questions. Yeah, like stuff that are on the landing page, information that are on the landing page. So I spend a whole lot of time copying links from the landing page to these customers, and they come back the next day asking me the same question, and I'm like, did you read the instruction? He said, no, please, can you explain to me? And I'm like, oh, The instruction is there, the video is there, but you still want me to explain to you. It's not just one person. I mean, it's a trend these days. I'm telling you, it's a funny trend these days. And I'm like, maybe we shouldn't spend so much time and funds building all this fancy landing page. We should just do dashboard, login, and let the customers just log in and experience the app. Because it's not useful anymore. These guys, they don't read it, they don't have time. I think their attention span is so low. So by the time we launched on PitchGround, it was already at this stage where you just have to manage all these customer issues. Yeah. Like, oh, I can't log in. How do I connect my Facebook? How do I connect my Instagram? But there were like no major issues. And they were like, okay, so the only major feedback from there was they helped us to redesign the workflow. We have this team collaboration feature that you can add your team members. Okay, this person is an editor, this person is an approver, this person is an owner. You can also add your clients and all that. So I had one very nice friend that came and was arguing with me for like weeks that he's an expert in this and I must do it this way. And it turned out the best. Yeah. So he had a lot of input and we ended up getting the right design, in terms of like, okay, when I am an owner, what do I want my staff to see? What don't I want them to see? How should it flow and stuff like that? And that was awesome. So there were no major incidents apart from this. All positive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super
all
amazing.
positive.
I'm happy about that, Pub. So yes, I'm happy now. Okay. Okay.
Great.
So like this actually takes me to one of the final questions, which I would like to ask, which I would like to know from your side personally. Uh, how have been your experience in this conversation? I'd say, like it has been almost an hour. So like, how was your experience in this conversation?
I'm enjoying this. I wish we could do it for longer. I'm enjoying this. I think it's good for people to tell their stories. Yeah, because we suffer a lot. You suffered for like, when people look at your product, I have a whole lot of customers that are very appreciative, very nice, super nice. They'll be like, well done, this is good, this is great. And most of them are creators, funny enough, yeah. Most of those are creators, so they understand what it takes to create something, yeah. But there are others that, just come to PCF and all that. So my point is, when people see your product, yeah, they enjoy it, it works. Maybe it doesn't work for one day, they come back, they start hitting you and all that. It feels very painful, yeah, because they don't see the amount of work, the amount of time, the amount of everything you put into build that product, yeah. So telling your story is an opportunity to let people know that this is what happens in the kitchen. It's hot in the kitchen. Yeah, so you take a risk, yeah, to actually create this, a risk that could make or mar you, yeah. And I spent all the money I earned in MTN, my day job. I've spent all the money. So it was like, if you don't make this, you just have to go and start looking for a job.
Again.
I mean, that's a super risk, yeah. So because I wanted to keep the team very lean, so I was funding it. Yeah. So I've spent all the money. As in I'm empty, yeah. But I'm happy because we're getting some returns right now, which is good. So but it's a super major risk, yeah. And all the sleepless nights, I drive and write. Yeah, so when I'm driving, I'm hoping that there will be some traffic so I can slow down and write if I forget it. Yeah, it's that bad. I wake up at night and I jump, my system is always open and I jump to the system and I start doing stuff. So your life becomes one, like you become the true definition of a nerd. Yeah, so you're eating, you're thinking, you're watching television, you're writing, so every point of your life becomes like your work. So you carry your work, you wear your work like, this is me, this is Postly. It's not easy, to be honest. Yeah. And
It's
telling,
never easy to create a product, I'd say, to be honest. Like, I'm not even kidding. So I talk to a lot of people, and majority don't even know that how much work is there to even create a simple product, like a product which completes just one task. How much time does it take to create that, and like to structure and to design and then to release and then to like make it good enough that it works, it's visually appealing, it's comfortable, experience is good. Like, there are these 100 other things which are at the back end about which people don't even know. And like that's why I personally do these kind of story podcast episodes and webinars where we just discuss the story. We just discuss that how much work did Paul had done for the 14 years in the marketing career, and then left everything, and he's like, okay, I will spend my whole money on Postly. Like the stories like where you used to play football, the stories like where you spend the money on game development without telling your wife. I mean, these are the stories about which no one knows. So yes, and like it was an amazing experience. I personally enjoyed the conversation. I hope it was like same from your side. Let me know that.
yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I
Super,
thank
man.
you for this. I appreciate this. Yeah.
I
At least
personally
you know more
appreciate.
about Postly now.
Sure, sure.
At least you
And
know more about Postly now.
I
Yeah.
know a lot. Like if someone will ask me the history of Posty, I know the details now. I will share this. I'm
Okay.
like, I would just say, okay, wait a sec, sit. I will tell you the story of Posty. You don't have to go anywhere or listen to this episode of the podcast. But
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
like, and like, just final thing, if you enjoyed it, let Oscar or Udit know so that they know that I'm doing a good work. They would also just,
Yeah, you're amazing. You're really amazing. I mean, you're a good listener, which is number one. Yeah, you're a good listener. I like the way you summarize what I said because I'm not sure whether I'm audible enough for people like getting my point. I'm speaking very fast, but I like the way that you give me that feedback that, oh, I hear you. That's very important. Yeah, that you summarize is very important. That means you're listening to me, which is good. You're doing an amazing work, really. I appreciate that. It's good. It's good.
thank
It's
you
good.
so much.
It's
And
good.
with that,
Yeah.
Paul, like, once again, thank you so much. It was amazing listening to your story. And I will see you once again probably in future in the season 2 of Growth Journeys, or the like the relaunch or the redesign or the version 5 or 10 of Postly will be live. We will do this once again, discussing even more
No, no problem. I'll be happy to do that.
things.
I'll be happy
Okay.
to do that anytime.
Thank you so much. With
All
that,
right. Thank you.
bye bye.
Bye, Tisha. Bye.